Hey everybody, welcome to the DDC Studios YouTube channel. This is DDC Studios owner and publisher Dave Hayner. And before we get underway with today's video, as always, I need to remind you to hit that subscription button, ring the bell for notifications, smash that like button, and as always, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Okay, let's get to today's topic. I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about my all-time favorite era of comics, because it actually kind of informs why I love mini comics as well, quite, as much as I do. And to me, the absolute best era of comics is actually still the very first era of comics, the golden age of comics, where you see the birth of every single superhero that we know and love today. Basically, it's the time of the birth of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the original Flash, just all of those really awesome superheroes that basically laid the foundation for superhero comics as we know them. But that isn't really the only reason why I love the golden age so much. The main reason why I love the golden age so much is because of the sense of experimentation that went on, or I should say the spirit of experimentation that went on during the golden age of comics. To kind of use a term that my dad always likes to use, they basically threw everything up against the wall to see what stuck. The golden age of comics personified the credo of there is no bad idea, because they tried everything, and every genre was pretty much explored during this time. Everything from superheroes to westerns to comics to war comics to romance comics and everything in between. You even saw the birth of like the Classics Illustrated type comics as well. And then of course you had like the funny animal comics, the kids comics like Archie and whatnot. But what was so cool is at this point in time, you can just sense from reading these stories that they knew the possibilities were endless. And that's kind of what I love about the world of mini comics, because that feeling is still there in mini comics. Because myself and my fellow mini comic creators know there are no rules whatsoever. Anything that we want to do, we can do. There is no such thing as a bad idea. The only bad idea is one that you don't explore in the world of mini comics. There is no set size to the mini comics. You can do whatever you want to with the size, with the format, with any extras or anything like that. You can do them in black and white. You can do them in color. You can do it in monocolor if you want to. And so to me, the world of mini comics is keeping that golden age sensibility alive. Now, from the perspective of a comics reader, especially a comics reader in the digital age, the other really awesome thing about golden age comics is all of these public domain heroes that came about in the golden age of comics. Heroes like Flagman, the Black Owl, Captain Future, the Clock, the Woman in Red, Mr. Mystic, all of these guys, the Green Mask, there's dozens upon dozens of these superheroes that are in the public domain. Well, there are websites dedicated to digitizing all of these awesome golden age comics that are in the public domain and putting them up to where you can download them, in the CBC, CBR compression format to read them in a digital comic book reader, just like any other comic, which is phenomenal because most of these golden age comics are extremely rare and hard to get a hold of, and it's not like they're being printed in trade paperback collections. Your golden age adventures for Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and what have you, of course they're readily available, but these heroes from comic companies, with the names like Fox and stuff like that, it's the only way you're going to be able to experience these, quote unquote, forgotten superheroes. And me discovering these heroes on these websites, which we're going to be putting links down below in the description, and I highly recommend you check them out, because you actually don't even have to download most of these comics. You can read them right in your browser as well, which is very convenient. But as you know, with the story, the secret origin of the domain, that video we did a while back, that's discovering these Golden Age heroes is what led us to what led to the birth of the most important comic title in DC Studios. So that alone maybe should kind of inform why I love the Golden Age of comics so much. The other thing that I find fascinating with Golden Age comics is actually something that a lot of people may find offensive. And that's the, I guess to put it delicately, the extreme, non-politically correct way a lot of stories were handled. Now, I am not saying that I enjoy that aspect. Quite often, no. I also quite often find the portrayals of various foreigners and what have you to be quite offensive. But also on the same hand, I find it fascinating, just to see how different society was way back when. I mean, we're talking almost 100 years ago now, or at the very least 80 years ago. 80 to 90 years ago. It's fascinating seeing that kind of microcosm of popular culture and of society from that era. Because you read about it in the history books and what have you, but it's far different checking out these artifacts of the time that really give you a more earnest look at the way people thought. And it's just something I kind of find fascinating. And quite frankly, the other thing that I really like about these Golden Age stories, though, is also the elegance and the simplicity of the stories that were told back then. By that I mean comic books were in their infancy, so writers didn't have to try to come up with different angles or anything. A superhero's girlfriend gets kidnapped, by a supervillain, and the superhero needs to rescue his girlfriend and knock out the bad guy, and boom, there's an awesome, 20-page comic story right there. Well, why is it awesome back then? Because it maybe only been done once. It's not a cliche yet. None of the normal superhero cliches or tropes had really been established yet, because once again, comics were in their infancy. So it's kind of cool seeing these well-worn tropes that all of us are very, very familiar with, seeing them written and explored for the very first time. It's just one of those things that I really find the history of comic books to be absolutely fascinating. And, being able to compare and contrast those very, very early days of comic books to this niche of comic books, mini comics, that I am extremely invested and dedicated to. Those parallels, I also find very, very fascinating, and it allows me to extrapolate some of the lessons those very old comics teach us, and apply them into the mini comic world. So I think you've listened to me jabber on about Golden Age comics for long enough. We're coming up on almost the 10-minute mark already. So I do think that's going to do it for today. But as always, thank you ever so much for listening to me jabber on about Golden Age comics and mini comics. I do want to remind you once again, please hit that subscription button. Ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos that are put up on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 9 o'clock Central Time. Also, please, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and let us know in the comments down below. And if you are interested in checking out any of the DDC Studios mini comics that are currently in print, or even maybe picking up some original art that we have for sale, or straight up commissioning us to do a piece of art for you, hit that Webstore link in the description below. You can also check out all of the official DDC Studios t-shirts at our official DDC Studios Spring t-shirt site, where we have many different designs available in all sizes, and they're all $20 a piece. And then finally, excuse me, please feel free to follow us on both Twitter and Instagram, where we do post on a daily basis with all sorts of awesome content. As a matter of fact, it's one of Twitter and Instagram are the only place to check out our weekly webcomic series, 101 Ways to Kill a Stickman, that actually upload every Saturday morning. So yes, once again, thank you ever so much for listening. We're going to have another video up for you fine folks here in just a couple more days. Bye.